So what has changed in the last 3 weeks? What has changed? The only thing that has changed is that we broke the biggest story in our organization's history. You know that one I'm talking about? Pfizer. The last week of January, with 50 million views. That broke the record by 10x. Our video became a global phenomenon.
Hey, Grant, and hey, James. I was just wondering if James, I had a chat with Matt Termond, and he wasn't aware of the Boston Consulting Group paper that Jordon Walker worked on, and I posted it. It's was in the early days of COVID, March 8th, and it really was the thing that kind of solidified remdesivir as a treatment for the American Hospital Association. And there was a team of 4 people, Boston Consulting Group worked on. And I was just wondering if you had a chance to see that paper. It's called The Near-Term Outlook for COVID Therapeutic Treatments that he worked on. Have you seen that or no?
Yes, I have it. I'm looking at it right now. The near-term COVID. This is Boston Consulting Group. I might just tweet out the first few pages of this. It's 7 pages. I can tweet out each image of that. I have looked at it. I haven't read the whole paper, but it's the first of 2 articles on the Outlook for. I'm reading from the first paragraph on potential timing of treatments and vaccines for COVID. This is the first paragraph of the article, authored by Jordon Walker for Boston Consulting Group. It reads, quote, "The goal is to provide practical assessments of the healthcare industry's efforts for business leaders and public health officials who need to plan for the future of their companies and communities. It's based on broader research conducted by Boston Consulting Group Scientist Network, which comprises more than 500 individuals around the world with advanced PhDs and MDs relevant private sector experience." So this Boston Consulting Group is no low-level thing. The co-authors here are Siren Lawler, Ahad Wahid, and Josh Keller. So I will go ahead and tweet out these screenshots of the document. I don't know if you had any other thoughts on the document.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a whole bunch of light that'll be shed here and us working together here. And I can explain how I think Jordon is working at Pfizer, like you say, and involved in all these things as a contractor, as a in-place contractor at Pfizer. But I want to get to the other 3 players because they're really important. One, that Josh Keller is actually a managing partner, and he manages the healthcare practice there as well as the biopharma practice. And Boston Consulting Group, as you said, is the number 1 consulting firm, specialty consulting firm, right, for biopharm. And he made a presentation to the American Hospital Association about remdesivir and Gilead about 8 days or 10 days after the FDA gave the emergency approval for remdesivir, and it really kind of codified and institutionalized remdesivir as this kind of monster treatment for all these people. We had a gal that 40 days she was put on a vent and then died. We just did a story on that. So I gave this to Grant. Do you think? I mean, the guy in the film yells, "I'm a contractor, I'm a contractor, I'm a contractor." Do you think he might be kind of telling you that he's both working at Pfizer, he has a Pfizer badge, he's in the Pfizer directory, but he's really working for and the reason I say this is Boston Consulting Group has a big partnership with the WEF, and they are pushing the WEF agenda.
Well, according to Jordon Walker's resume, which I'm looking at, he left Boston Consulting Group in June of 2021 and started Pfizer in June of 2020 to present day. So when he says when he was screaming things at me in the restaurant, he could have meant that he was a consultant, in kind of just sort of speaking off the cuff there. I'm just a consultant. And he worked there for a number of years, so I don't know how to interpret those words, but he has been a consultant for Boston, and he's currently a director for Pfizer.
So I made a trip to in the last couple of days to all these places, Moderna, and I went to Boston Consulting Group, and I went to the various. Read up on the lawsuit between Moderna and Pfizer, and looked at kind of all the background in this and the partners. And the other guy, Josh, or Ciaran, I guess it's an Irish name like your name, is Ciaran, and his last name, I believe, is Lawler. He's a real top guy in automation of what they call directed evolution, and he worked for a long time and wrote papers for Moderna. And so he's kind of had the inside track on this technology from DARPA and Moderna. And he made a presentation, or this group made a presentation, or at least I have reason to believe this group made a presentation about what you've claimed, which is directed evolution. And at the Pearl River plant that Pfizer has added, the $470 million new plant that they've got about 25 miles outside of New York. And I wanted to I know I've talked to a few Project Veritas people, and they've kind of hinted at the Pearl River, bomb is about ready to drop. And I just wanted to see if you wanted to comment on that.
I don't know what is a Pearl River bomb?
Oh, Pearl River is a city 25 miles outside of New York, and that's where Pfizer built their $470 million new automated test line. But someone mentioned this earlier about the vaccines have potentially a gain of function element in them, and when they do, they morph and they mutate faster than they might have otherwise. It's called.
Yeah, I know that Pearl River is a city in New York. I just didn't know what.
Oh, okay, no problem. Well,
What?
I have reason to believe, and this supports your reporting, that this team of four that wrote this paper, really to inculcate, remdesivir into all of our hospitals. The AHA, once they say this is the standard of care, then no one can, backtalk, or otherwise they can pull your Medicaid funding. So they have quite a hammer. The other guy who was on this, Waleed, is a top doctor. Ahad Wahid at Boston Consulting Group. And he was kind of the guy who supposedly was going to be presenting to the AMA and the doctors. And once the doctors get threatened to pull their license, they can't fight the remdesivir. So I'm all for the Pfizer stuff you're doing, and I think that's awesome. And I think I'm all for going after Moderna as well. But I think this is the smoking gun here in this story, and I think it explains why Jordon is kind of both. He's kind of an on-site guy managing this presentation that was given by Lawler, and Lawler's presentation was this directed evolution. If you remember, I think in your interview with him, or the hidden camera interviews, didn't he mention that directed evolution phrase, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, those are his words. Again, I didn't make these. You said I made claims. I don't make any claims. I'm just quoting the guy. But you said that I'm tweeting this out right now so our audience knows what the hell is going on. This is a Boston Consulting Group paper that was unearthed on the interwebs, and it's been confirmed. It's a paper that Jordon Walker was one of four authors. And tell us again, Josh Keller,
Josh Keller,
Ciaran Lawler, and Ahad Wahid. Who are those people again?
They're the three co-authors, and they're really the senior partners on this paper. I went over to Tufts, and I went over to Massachusetts General, and those parts of Jordon Walker's kind of resume fell apart. They'd never seen him at Mass General. He had washed out in a year. He didn't even get into the urology fellowship or the internship. So he had washed out there and the timing is also suspect. In October of 2019, he went over to Boston Consulting Group, and then he did this intensive Mandarin course, like he was going to be the welcome wagon for these Chinese students that were coming in. These hospitals were the same hospitals where DARPA was bringing back, Michael Callahan from DARPA was bringing back blood samples, and they were being analyzed at Mass General, Boston College,
and you said Josh is a partner at BCG?
Yes, Josh Keller.
Joshua currently Keller, a partner.
Yes, a managing partner. Yes,
and Ciaran Lawler, who is he?
He's the kind of the technical brains behind directed evolution, and he worked in the Moderna practice work for Moderna in high-speed automation. This is what WEF is pushing. They want to obsolete all the existing egg-based and subunit-based stuff.
Aaron Lawler worked for who?
Moderna.
Does he currently work for Moderna?
No, he currently works for Boston Consulting Group. But what I'm saying is they made the presentation about directed evolution to Pfizer, and Pfizer may or may not, I have reason to believe they did act on it, Thermo Fisher Scientific Equipment at the Pearl River plant. And basically it's a way of speeding up evolution. And what I see happening in the marketplace is they're mixing gain of function. Gain of function is making something, more deadly with Fauci, and gain of function is bad. But there are uses of directed evolution which can help make sure that you basically simulate a virus going from person to person to person 100 times. So you kind of simulate what human transmission would be, and then you predict whether your vaccine would be effective against the probable mutations. So it's not like gain of function we're going to make.
Hey, George,
Sure.
let me ask you, so we don't turn this into a vaccine room or gain of function room.
Sure.
How important is the kind of journalism you and James are doing?
I think it's absolutely fundamental. And I want to say this about James. I'm a big fan. Your thing with Zucker was absolutely huge. I mean, with the conference calls and how they did search and destroy journalism, and how they did vigilante assassination journalism to go get independent journalists. I never was more proud of anybody.
The head of CNN?
Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker had these Monday morning drone meetings where they were going to go kill independent journalists, figuratively, not physically. And the guy who brought that story to you was James O'Keefe, Project Veritas.
Thank you for pointing out. Just one fact check on Aaron Lawler. You said he knows about directed evolution. How do you know that? Is that in the paper, or is that just something that you've researched or found in his background?
There's a paper that he wrote in 2015. It was sent to me by another journalist, Mark Kulak, and I will get that to you, or I'll just post it. I posted just a screenshot on my Twitter, which is Real George Webb 1.
So he wrote about directed evolution in the past?
No, the WEF has a thing called tech automation that they're pushing, sort of the robotization of healthcare drug discovery. And he is the expert at BCG. I'm just talking with you now. I need to go get the paper, but he is the directed evolution guy to my belief right now, and I need to prove that to you. Yeah.
All right. Very good. And we know that he worked for Moderna. This is the reason.
Sounds like you're trying to score a story right now, James. Are you?
Well, I mean,
are you trying to score a story right now?
Well, always. That's what I do. That's what I do all the time. I'm interested.
Goddamn, I'm trying to raise money for you, and you're trying to cop a story from fucking George.
That is raising money for us, because it's showing the world what it is that I do, and actions speak louder than words. So, I believe that by doing this exercise, the journalists, and you hate to call them journalists, Grant, because they're not doing journalism, but the journalists are actually making the argument that they cannot confirm this guy's identity when there's literally an academic research paper that Jordon Walker has authored, and it's co-authored by Boston Consulting guys and Moderna guys about directed evolution. That's important information for the public to know, and I'm tweeting that out right now, the paper itself with the authors.